In the silence of the night, even the smallest sound can send a shiver down your spine. What if the darkness hides something you never expected? Every night, my girlfriend wakes me up with the same knock-knock joke. I love Ellen with all my heart. We've been living together for 3 years, but we have known each other our whole lives. We were childhood friends, and it always felt like we were meant to be together. Even when we dated other people after graduation, nothing felt right until we found our way back to each other. I sometimes wonder why it took me so long to ask her out, but I'm grateful every day for the bond we share. We enjoy the same music, movies, and even food. We laugh at the silliest jokes and know exactly how to comfort each other during hard times. Ellen is kind, gentle, and loving, and we've talked about our plans for marriage and children. This is why it hurts so much that everything went wrong in just 4 nights. Ellen's family is small. Apart from me, she only has a few distant aunts, women she hardly remembers. I come from a large family with 4 siblings and many cousins who were always around, lending a hand when needed. Ellen has no siblings, and her father, an alcoholic, was abusive until he died when she was very young. Her mother, a kind and inspiring woman who cared for her alone for many years, passed away last year. Her loss hurt us both deeply. Even in sorrow, Ellen stayed strong. She rarely shows her true feelings, and I used to pride myself on understanding her so well that I felt I knew her better than I knew myself. That is why the strange events that unfolded over 4 nights have left me terrified and confused. It began on a night like any other. I was sleeping in our bed when, during a vague dream, I heard a soft whisper close to my ear. Knock, 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 knock. At first, I thought it was part of my dream. I felt her gentle hand running through my hair as she sat up beside me. Slowly, I opened my eyes, still groggy. "Hey, what is it, baby?" I mumbled. Ellen's eyes stayed fixed on mine as she repeated, "Knock, knock, knock, knock." I glanced at our digital clock. It was 3:27 a.m. I knew I had work in only a few hours. "Ellen, what is it?" I asked. She paused briefly, then said, "Please answer the joke, dear." Knock, 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 knock. I sighed and replied, "Who's there?" Her smile widened as she softly answered, "Not me. So don't answer the door." I was confused. Is that it? Is that the joke? "Yes," she said quietly. Then she got up and moved to sit on the couch under a blanket. "Thank you for answering," she added. I grumbled a light, "Weirdo," and tried to fall back asleep, but her words lingered in my mind. The next morning, while brushing my teeth, I wondered if the strange conversation had really happened, or if it was just a dream. Over breakfast, Ellen acted normally as she read from a magazine. I attempted to ask about last night, but she only flashed a brief smile and quickly changed the subject. I let it go, assuming it was nothing more than an odd habit. That night, darkness came early. As soon as I closed my eyes, I heard her voice again at exactly 3:27 a.m. Knock, knock. I opened my eyes immediately. Ellen was sitting up, staring directly at me. Checking the clock confirmed it was 3:27 a.m. again. "Ellen, what are you doing? I have work in a few hours. I can't be woken up every night for this joke," I said, trying to sound firm. She repeated, "Knock, knock, knock, knock," waiting for my reply. Reluctantly, I said, "All right. Who's there?" Her smile appeared slowly. In a calm, even tone, she said, "Not me. So don't answer the door." A shiver ran down my spine. The answer was the same, but her tone now felt unsettling. "Ellen, please tell me what this means. I really don't understand," I pleaded. She simply smiled again and returned to sleep. I lay awake for a long time, my mind racing with questions. Why did she do this every night at exactly the same time? Was it just a quirky habit or something more? I tried to convince myself it was a harmless routine, but unease gnawed at me. The next morning, Ellen acted gentle and apologetic. She promised it was nothing serious and said she would stop. We barely spoke about it further, and I went to work, my thoughts troubled by the repeating phrase. That day, I called an old friend who is a psychologist and described everything in detail. He was concerned and suggested we schedule an appointment for the coming week. I told Ellen about it, and though she was reluctant at first, she eventually agreed to join me. I hoped that with professional help, we could understand if this was a sleep issue or something else entirely. But the following nights offered no relief. One evening, after dinner and a quiet movie, I dozed off on the couch. At 3:27 a.m., I was abruptly awakened by the familiar knock knock. I closed my eyes tightly, hoping to ignore it, but the sound came again and again. Finally, exasperated, I sat up and said, "Ellen, please, stop it." That night, I couldn't fall back asleep. I got up and moved toward the bedroom, determined to talk to her. When I reached the bed, I saw her sitting there with an intense, fixed look in her eyes. "Ellen, what is going on?" I asked in a trembling voice. She stared at me for a moment before softly saying, "Not me. So don't answer the door." Her tone was weak and monotone, a stark contrast to the warmth I remembered. My heart pounded, and I felt a cold dread that I could not explain. After a long silence, she closed her eyes and lay back down, leaving me paralyzed with worry. I left the room and sat alone on the living room couch, staring out into the dark night through the window. The quiet neighborhood did little to calm me. Every shadow and distant sound made me anxious. I thought about calling someone for help, but I feared any noise might disturb her further or bring more trouble. That morning, Ellen awoke as if nothing was wrong. She asked why I wasn't in our room, and I just mumbled that I wasn't feeling well before leaving for work. Throughout the day, the image of her blank, distant eyes haunted me. I tried to push the memory aside, but it lingered like a dark cloud. At work, I recounted the events to my psychologist friend once more. He advised that we should take this seriously and get professional help. I insisted that Ellen join our session so we could work through this together. I couldn't imagine a life without the caring, gentle woman I had always known. That evening, I returned home feeling both anxious and determined. We had a quiet dinner, and I gently brought up the topic again. Ellen apologized repeatedly, promising that it wasn't meant to hurt me. I reassured her that I loved her and that we would get through this. For a moment, I believed everything might go back to normal. But as night fell, my heart grew heavy with dread. Soon enough, the clock struck 3:27 a.m., and the familiar whisper echoed through our room. Knock, knock. This time I stayed still, trying to muster the courage to ignore it. But then I heard it again, louder and more insistent. I opened my eyes and saw Ellen lying on the bed with a blank expression. I said, "Who's there?" in a quiet, almost defeated tone. Her answer, as always, was, "Not me. So don't answer the door." Her voice now felt cold and distant, and it made me feel as if a part of her was lost. I whispered, "Ellen, please, what is this all about?" But she remained silent, her eyes unfocused as she drifted back to sleep. I pulled the covers over my head, trying to escape the growing sadness and fear. Hours later, I woke up again, but not in our bed. I found myself alone in my bedroom, and a deep dread filled me. I searched for my phone, but it wasn't with me. I had left it downstairs. All I had was Ellen's laptop. And trembling, I began to write down everything that had happened. The corridor outside was dark, and a faint scratching sound from below only added to my terror. I looked at the digital clock, 4:21 a.m. Ellen was nowhere to be seen, and I felt utterly alone. Then a soft knock came from the front door. I froze, my heart pounding. The sound grew louder, turning into a pounding that echoed through the silent apartment. "Who is there?" "Open the door," I shouted, my voice shaking. The knocking stopped abruptly, and then I heard a voice. It was soft and familiar, yet somehow odd. "John? John, can you hear me? Open the door, please. John, please open the door." It sounded like Ellen, but I knew it couldn't be. My body froze in fear as I saw, in the dim light by the couch, a figure resembling Ellen with wide eyes and a strange, fixed smile. I barely managed to whisper, "Ellen, what are you doing? Please, come back to me." The figure did not move, and the pounding on the door resumed louder this time. "John, open the door. Please, you have to trust me," the voice pleaded. I couldn't decide whether to run or stay. The sight of her empty eyes and the echo of her voice left me speechless. I stayed rooted in place until suddenly everything went silent. I later awoke in my bedroom, and the clock read 4:21 a.m. again. Ellen was gone. Trembling, I sat there with the laptop in my hands, writing down these events in hopes of finding some answer. Outside, the corridor remained dark, filled with shifting shadows and faint scratching sounds that sent chills down my spine. I am writing this now because I need help and advice. I have scheduled an appointment with a psychologist, and I have asked a trusted friend to support me as we try to understand what is happening. I cannot explain how the gentle, loving Ellen I have known for so long could change into someone or something I barely recognize. Every night, that simple knock-knock joke has grown from a playful quirk into a disturbing enigma that threatens to unravel everything I believe in. I hope that tomorrow will bring answers, or at least a bit of light to dispel the darkness that has taken hold of our nights. For now, I am left with only memories of the familiar, gentle knock-knock that has become a painful mystery. I pray that I can find a way to help Ellen and save the love we share from slipping away into the shadows. If this twist-filled tale left you questioning everything, hit like and subscribe for more mind-bending mysteries. Share your theories in the comments. What do you think is really behind Ellen's midnight knock-knock?